Hey everybody, good morning. It is Friday, and I'm going to admit right up front today that I have a holy hangover. I have a holy hangover. That's what one of my pastor friends out of North Carolina calls it. I'll talk about that in just a moment and tell you why I have a holy hangover today. This is devotional number 9 as we count down from 10 to 1. And then when we get to 1, we're probably going to change the format because, Lord willing, the worst of this pandemic will have passed. Texas will continue to open up. More people will be going to work and moving around at 8 a.m. in the morning. And so what we plan on doing once we get done with these 10, what we plan on, the Lord may change our plans, but the plan right now is to transition to a once or twice a week format. So let us know where you're joining us from today. Always happy to meet new people. If you're new today, let us know that you're new. We love having new family members along for the ride with us. And as I just said, let us know where you're watching from. It's just kind of interesting for us as a church family. It's good for us to know as we move forward what kind of impact perhaps we can have with this online format that we've been doing. We've been seeing people watch from all over. It's just kind of good to know. And something I'm trying to be careful with today is they told me yesterday whenever I'd hit the table that the computer screen would shake. So I'm trying to be very gentle. All right. Also, in the comments, if you have a prayer request, just put them in there. And if you see a prayer request that somebody puts in there, just go ahead and either like their comment if you're on Facebook, or tell them that you'll be praying for them, or say a prayer for them in the comments. I just love how you guys are doing that. Today, I have 2 short verses for you. 2 short verses. I talked too long yesterday, so I'm trying to zip my lip a little bit. 2 verses. One is going to be Psalm chapter 6, verse 3. Psalms chapter 6, verse 3. I'm going to say it one more time so you'll remember. Psalm chapter 6, verse 3. And then another one that I want to read you toward the end is Proverbs chapter 19, verse 11. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 11. As you can see, I am live here in my kitchen once again. I'm seated next to my lovely wife, who is just outside of camera shot right here, and she wants to stay that way. She does want to stay that way. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Some people think I'm holding her hostage and will not point the camera at her because I am a camera hog. That is not the truth. In fact, if I move my computer right now so that it started to point at her, you would hear her scream. She would scream at me. Do you want to hear her scream? Let's just try it.
No.
Okay, so yesterday was the first time that I broadcast from my kitchen, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give the guys who have put out content for our church family for 68 days in a row I'm trying to give them a little bit of time off, a little bit of freedom, but they're still behind the scenes, even today, from their home, splitting this signal, sending it to Facebook and to YouTube, which, by the way, I'm going to get on YouTube right now. I forgot to do so. And Jane, I want to see Facebook whenever you get a chance. Tell me who's watching on Facebook. Give me some names. Alan Darnell, what's up, my brother? Tanya Hawkins, how you doing, Tanya? Natalie, how you doing? Neighbor? Cassandra, awesome. I cannot see the comments on YouTube, and I don't know why. One of my tech guys is going to have to help me. Anyway, we see you out there for the most part, and we're glad that you are with us. And so the guys, like I was saying, the guys are splitting the signal, they're sending it out, and they're the ones who put the pretty slide in at the front with the music. I think we had that today. I wasn't watching YouTube at the time. And the musical interlude at the end with the slide. And there's a little bit of time before the devotional, a little bit of time after the devotional. And you know what that little bit of time is there for? Because it could just start with me going, hey, and then end with me going, later. But they put that at the beginning and at the end, and we've been doing that ever since the beginning. And the reason why, and I'm not lying, is so that you guys can talk to each other, so that you guys can encourage one another, so that you guys can pray for each other in the comments. And as I said, you guys have been doing a great job with this. Just yesterday, man, during the devotional, on Facebook alone, there were 1,000 comments, 1,000 comments during the devotional yesterday. And on YouTube, there was a ton more, but they don't list them. They don't number them like they do on Facebook. But it shouldn't be a surprise, because this is how loving this church family is all the time. When you're together in a room, in a building, you guys are so loving, and now online you're still loving, and I love you, and I'm just going to say, please keep it up. I've been so impressed by the way that you have loved on each other. And you know, I saw Cassandra last night at the Thursday evening service, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But you know, I just told her, I said, you are awesome, man. You are awesome. And I think she might volunteer somewhere else in the church. But I told her, I said, we've been, Jane and I were talking to her, just, you know, encouraging her. I said, I just want to steal you and put you in the internet campus once we get it up and running, you know, put her at a computer where she can welcome new people in and pray for people, because wow. And we got a lot of people like that, but it's just awesome. Okay. One more thing that I'll get to our verses for today. Last night, and this is why I have a holy hangover today. Last night, we had our first in-person service in, I believe it's 10 weeks. And it was so amazing. It was so amazing. I got home last night, Jane and I came home, and I just sat down, and my mind was racing, and she ended up going to bed. It was like, I don't know, 10:30, 11. She finally went to bed, and I just stayed up. I couldn't go to sleep. I wasn't even tired. And finally I said, I got to go get in bed, because I got to get up and do a devotion in the morning. And so I went to bed, and I just laid there, and I could not sleep, because I don't know, adrenaline or what it was, but I was just so overwhelmed by getting together last night. And, you know, I'll try not to get emotional right now, but it was just so good to be with people last night. And the weather, if you were a part of it, you know this, the weather was absolutely perfect. It was perfect. You know, I think close to 90 during the day, but then at 7 o'clock last night, it was almost cool outside. And there was just this nice little gentle breeze, and there were enough clouds in the sky for the most part to keep the sun out of people's eyes. And yet those clouds gave a great backdrop for a beautiful sunset that appeared over the building as the service was taking place. I'm telling you, it was a gorgeous night, a gift from God. And there was just this spirit among the people like, wow, this is a celebration. And I've told you guys repeatedly that we're going to make it through this. And I believe we will. We're going to make it through this. Best way to make it through it is together. And when the worship started happening last night and the band was playing and the people were clapping along and singing, I just was like overwhelmed. I was like, even though I believe we're going to make it through this thing, it's going to be good. It was like there was a light at the end of the tunnel. And anyway, I was close to tears the entire night, but I fought it off. But it was so good to be together. And I've had a number of people already ask me, are we going to do this every week? We're going to do this every week. The short answer is no. No, we're not going to do this every week. Obviously, a service like that is 100% weather dependent. And usually you live here, you know this, or for those of you who do live here, you know this. The weather's not always conducive to sitting outside in a lawn chair. It's too hot, it's muggy, or it's raining, or if there's no clouds, the sun is beating down on you, or there are mosquitoes. It's not always comfortable to sit out in a large parking lot in your lawn chair. But once again, last night it was just perfect, man. It was like, okay, this is probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was like heaven on earth. Last night, being with God's people in such beautiful weather, it was truly a gift from God, I think, to our church family, just to get to spend an hour together and to remember that there is power when people come together in His name. We just got to sense a taste of that last night. So just so you know, Texas has never really closed churches. I mean, even when the lockdown was happening and everybody was saying stay at home, the governor never told churches to close. But there has always been the restrictions and the recommendations of social distancing. So quite frankly, we've been unable to have in-person services during this crisis because those social distancing restrictions and regulations they basically price us out of a building. I say that because we don't have a 12-foot bubble for every person and every family to exist in our buildings. Even though we have nice large buildings, we don't have that kind of room. We'd have 100 people and our biggest building would be full in the auditorium, and then we'd have to shut down the building and clean for hours in between the next service. And so it just it's a huge hurdle to overcome. And we couldn't have kids classes because kids don't social distance and we can't greet. And even though last night was awesome, I'm gonna admit that it was a little bit this weird, a little bit, because everybody's wearing masks and you couldn't touch anybody. So we're like, hey, and people are talking and they can't hear each other. And I'm not taking anything away from it because I had an awesome time and I think it was awesome for the people who were there. But there's just still a little bit of weirdness that is there. So good news is we've never really closed down because we always have the online option. We're going to keep that going. And hopefully, in the days to come, when the weather and everything else lines up, the days of the week, we'll be able to get together maybe in another outdoor event in the not too distant future. And hopefully that'll happen. So right now, what we're doing as a church, and this is what a lot of churches are doing, we're just kind of in this holding pattern and we're circling the airport, waiting to land. And honestly, can I be honest with you? Hopefully you won't lose respect for me, but honestly, I hate it. I hate to wait. And I know something about you. You hate to wait too. That's why when we go to the store, back in the day when we used to go to the store, we choose the shortest line or the line we think is going the quickest because we don't want to wait any longer than we have to. That's why when we're in the store and we get in that short line, which is the express line with 15 items or less, We see somebody that's in front of us with more than 15 items, we get upset because they are like delaying our departure from the store this much. And that's why when we're at a light and the light turns green and the person in front of us hesitates for 1 second, we give them a little love tap with our horn because we don't want to wait any longer than we have to. That's why when we go somewhere, we go to get on an elevator, we push the button and it's taken a while for it to get there. Even though it's lit up, we'll push it again. Like that's going to help it to get there faster, because we don't like to wait. And then we say, Lord, I need patience. Lord, please give me patience. I'm working on this. Lord, give me patience and hurry up, Lord, hurry up and give me patience. But I will say this, God never meant for us to live a life of impatience. And so what he does is he uses real life situations like waiting in the doctor's office for too long, like the DMV. You ever been to the DMV? Waiting there, like traffic jams, like school zones where the lights are still blinking and school's not in session. Maybe even a pandemic. Maybe he uses a pandemic and a lockdown that won't seem to end to teach us lessons in patience. I'm getting that lesson right now. I'm getting a lesson in patience, and I'm trying to be a good learner. But we at our church, man, we're used to moving and taking ground and making things happen. And it's like one time I saw on TV, I think it was a Hyundai. It's been a few years back, but they came out with a car called the Stinger. And this car was supposed to be able to go 200 miles an hour. 200 miles an hour. And it was for sale for normal people. And I saw it. I was like, man, that is awesome. That is awesome. I would love to have that car. But then I thought about it. Where in the world are you going to go 200 miles an hour? You're going to get on 288 in the morning and go 200 miles an hour. You're going to get on I-45 at 5 p.m. and go 200. No, you're going to go more like two. And something I figured out in life is this, the faster that we're able to go, the more frustrated and impatient it feels like we become when we can't go fast, when something holds us up. So like we're used to moving, and as a church, we've just been used to, man, we're going to take these hills and we're going to advance the kingdom, and we're going to have this movie series when the kids go back to school. It's going to blow this place up, and all those things have been fun and awesome. And now, we're going to send our kids to camp, and there's going to be more camps. And now the camps aren't happening this year. We put the movie series on hold, and that's because of copyright deals that we can't stream our movie series online. I mean, it's just. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And this takes me to our scripture for today. Even though King David didn't have a fast car stuck in a traffic jam in ancient Israel, I think that he felt the frustration too. In Psalm chapter 6, verse 3, he says, "My whole being is deeply troubled. My whole being is deeply troubled. How long, O Lord, will you wait to help me? How long will you wait to help me?" I especially love it over in the New International Version. That was today's English version. Here it is in the New International Version. "My soul is in deep anguish. How long, Lord? How long?" Can you hear his frustration? How long, Lord? How long? Now, he's stating the obvious, but I feel like I need to say it out loud. Sometimes God takes his time. And as I've told you in church, probably too many times, God's watch is set differently than ours. And there are moments in our lives when we want him to show up and nothing happens. And we have to wait. Meanwhile, most of us would rather do anything than wait. So it becomes like a soul check, a gut check. How do we handle ourselves? What is our attitude? What does our heart look like in these periods of time where we have to wait? Are we getting uptight? Are we getting frustrated? Do we still have the same kind of faith we did in God when we didn't have to wait? Do we still believe that God is large and in charge when we're waiting? Do we get angry? Here's a good one. Do we take out the frustration of waiting? Does our impatience cause us to take it out on those who are closest to us, on our family? Do we get stressed like that? I think maybe that one of the things that is helping me through this time when I'm honestly just a little bit frustrated is getting a little bit more perspective, like looking at this whole thing with a little wider angle camera view. And when you think about what we're going through, right here, right now, I got to remember something. Everybody's going through it. Everybody's going through it. And it's not easy. And we're all in this mess together. And I know that may not help. That's like saying misery loves company. And that's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying that everybody is facing some kind of battle in this thing. I've got friends, Gene Apple, who spoke at Dudley Rutherford. I went and spoke at his church a while back in Southern California, and others. My roommate from college is in California, and they are locked down. And they can't even do what we did last night. And the governor was telling them they're going to have to wait 6 more months to have church, to hold services in their church. And meanwhile, pot shops are open, So we talk about frustration. There you go. So when I look at this with a little wider camera angle and a little bigger perspective, and I get a little bit more wisdom about the situation, I realize, a lot of people got it tough right now. And not only that, that's just churches not being able to meet together, even though we can still meet together online. You think about it on kind of that's the macro level. The micro level too is a lot of people have lost jobs. I mean, they're in their homes, they're hurting big time. There are people who are sick. There are people who have lost a loved one because of this thing. And it kind of helps me to remember that we've, so far, for the most part, my family, our church family, if our biggest frustration is not being able to get together in person, that we've got it pretty good. I remember back when Hurricane Harvey hit, and it was no fun. And I remember, because we have a big church family, and I already knew that a lot of people, at least 120 church family members' homes had flooded. And I remember driving to the 288 campus right after we could get out, and driving down 288, and there's a car wash off the side of the road, and I'm headed to church. We're going to put our battle plans together, trying to help people get back on their feet again. And it took like 1.5 years of helping people with that process of getting back into their homes. And we spent over $1 million to help folks get back into their homes and to, pay their bills and all that. Our church family spent over $1 million. But that first day I'm driving down 288, and there's a car wash right next to 288. And I just kind of glance over at the car wash. I'm thinking, man, everybody is. This is a terrible time. Everybody's going through it. I look over at the car wash, and there are people washing their cars. There are people washing their cars. And I'm not upset at them for washing their cars, but it was like nothing happened. Like it's a sunny day. I'm off work because there's been a hurricane. My house didn't flood, and the car's a little, I could use since I've got some free time, I'm going to go wash the car. Now that's okay. If they need to wash the car, I'm not upset. I'm just saying when something big like that happens, we got to remember, if we're washing our car, and that's the worst thing that happened to us, that there are a lot of people that are worse off than us. And even like right now, we may be upset because we can't go to our favorite restaurant, or because we can't go to a ball game or whatever. But some people are barely hanging on. And I think, when we get a little bigger perspective, I think what it does, according to the Bible, and I'll read you that verse in just a moment, but according to the Bible, I think what it does when you get a bigger perspective is I think it puts a little bit more gas in your tank to help you to be patient, I want to read you something. And this is from the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the first time I read it, it hit me hard. It's about seeing a bigger perspective before you react. Okay, so you're seeing a bigger perspective before you react. It's written by Stephen Covey. If you've never read the book, it's a pretty good book. He says, I remember one Sunday morning on a subway in New York. People were sitting quietly, some reading newspapers, some lost in thought, some resting with their eyes closed. It was a calm, peaceful scene. Then suddenly a man and his children entered the subway car. The children were so loud and rambunctious that instantly the whole climate changed. The man sat down next to me and closed his eyes, apparently oblivious to the situation. The children were yelling back and forth, throwing things, even grabbing people's papers. It was very disturbing. And yet the man sitting next to me did nothing. It was difficult not to be irritated. I couldn't believe that he could be so insensitive to let his children run wild like that and do nothing about it, taking no responsibility at all. It was easy to see that everyone else in the subway felt irritated too. So finally, with what I felt was unusual patience and restraint, I turned to him and I said, Sir, I was wondering if you could control your children a little more. The man lifted his gaze as if to come to a consciousness of the situation for the first time and said softly, Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago, and I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't know how to handle it either. Suddenly, he says, suddenly I saw things differently. I thought differently. I felt differently. I behaved differently. My irritation vanished. My heart was filled with compassion. Everything changed in an instant. So what was the difference? What was the difference? The difference was he got a bigger picture. He got some wisdom, and the wisdom helped him to see more clearly, and it gave him patience. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 11. Proverbs 19, verse 11. It says, a man's wisdom gives him patience. A man's wisdom gives him patience. And then it says this, which I think is very interesting. It says, it is to his glory to overlook an offense. It is to his glory to overlook an offense. So when we can get wisdom, when we can just back up from the situation and kind of try to feel and see what other people might be going through and might be enduring, that wisdom gives me more patience. And when irritations and frustrations and inconveniences come, and man, they've been coming on a regular basis, I'm able to handle it better. I'm able to be a better man. I'm able to be a better neighbor. You know, when I know what my neighbor's going through, I'm able to be a better pastor. When I know what people at church are going through, I'm able to be a better husband, a better dad, a better granddad. Because, as the Bible says, wisdom gives patience. And honestly, when I'm impatient, which I am sometimes, when I'm impatient, about 100% of the time, it's because all I'm thinking about is myself. And I don't care what somebody else is going through. I don't care what kind of day they have. I'm just thinking, well, here's my deal, and here's what's going on in my life, and here's what I'm feeling right now, my schedule, my hurts. But the truth is, and I think I'm about to quote the kid in the movie Wonder. Do you remember that movie? We should be kind because everybody is facing hard battles. We should be kind because everybody's facing hard battles. Or let me say it this way. We should be patient because we don't know what other people are going through right now. So I hope that helps you today. That's all I got. So tomorrow is Saturday, and remember, we're kind of on this new schedule where we're going Monday through Friday, And so there will be no devotional in the morning, no devotional in the morning on Saturday. I will see you hopefully on Sunday morning at 9:45 on YouTube and Facebook. You can get there by going through our church website if you're brand new with us today. We're going to open up the virtual lobby a few minutes early so that you can come in and chat and welcome people. And yes, I've been asked, we are going to do a devotional on Monday, even though it's a holiday. Monday is Memorial Day, if you don't know. And so that's kind of an alert to the guys who are helping me right now. Yes, we are doing a devotional on Monday, Memorial Day. And I feel like that would be appropriate, okay? So next time we get together, it's going to be Sunday morning, 9:45 a.m. Let me pray for you before we go. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this time that we can spend together, Lord, this morning. I thank you for what you're doing in us, even as things are happening to us. And I thank you for your promise, Lord. Anything that happens to us can be used for our good and for your glory. So continue to do so, Lord. For those who are fighting hard battles, Lord, help us to be more understanding, more caring. And I pray for those in our church family who are facing some tough obstacles right now, that you in your power, Lord, that you would help them. For those who are sick, Lord, heal them, Lord. For those who are well and worried, I pray that you would but also take away their worry. For those who are struggling financially because of the circumstance, Lord, I pray that, as always, that you would help them and make up the difference, God. Continue to bless our church family as we hold on to you, Lord. Give us the patience that we need to endure. I pray this in your son's name, and all the people said, amen. Love you, guys, and I will see you probably about maybe 9, let's say 9. Well, church starts at 9:45, so we're going to open the lobby. Let's just say we're going to open the lobby about 10 minutes early, the virtual lobby, so you can come in and comment and all that. So about 9:35, lobby will open up. I hope to see you then in the lobby. God bless, guys. Love you so much. Bye-bye.